Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're doing the month ahead look ahead with the Japanese and CFS V2 models today. It's JMA Friday as always. On Friday, this is going to take us into the second half of September. So we're going to have a look at the 500 millibar high anomalies and temperature and precipitation anomalies from the JMA, and then I'll have a look at CFS V2 and compare the two to see what could be on the way for next month. Just a couple of days away now, of course, from Bank Holiday weekend, and we can say that it's going to be quite a mixed weekend. I'll probably do a final update for Bank Holiday weekend later on today. But tomorrow is causing a lot of uncertainty. That's where we're going to start with today's video. So before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. This video adds to most pages, which open up content when you watch the video back up again. It helps to pay for gasworthies.com. Thanks so much for getting involved and doing that. Now, big discrepancy between the GFS and the Euro 4 model for tomorrow. So that's where we're going to start. Seems a bit perverse that we're doing a month ahead, look ahead with God uncertainty just 24 hours away. But of course, this is shorter range exact detail, whereas the longer range stuff is just looking at the trends, the broad trend of the synoptic setup and the broad trend of precipitation and temperature. But of course, day by day, the variation, you get day by day variation in the shorter range. So they're two different things, really. This is like the exact detail, trying to pin down the exact detail at a short range time frame. So what we've got going on tomorrow is an area of thundery rain down to the south and southeast. So this is the GFS precipitation forecast for 6 o'clock in the morning, where it has got some heavy showers down through the channel and just clipping into the southeast of the country. Now, as we run through the morning, we find some rain moves up across southeast England and East Anglia. It doesn't look all that significant. It could be thundery showers, but it doesn't look especially torrential. And by the end of Saturday afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening, that rain is leaving the East Anglian coast. So it has affected East Anglia and South East. It has given some rain, possibly some thundery downpours as well. But it doesn't look all that dramatic. But the Euro 4 is looking like this. Now, this is the high-resolution model from the UK Met Office. This is at website Weather Online. You find it's Weather Online on the links page. And that vibrant area of blue and purple sitting across a large swathe of central and eastern England is torrential rain, probably thunderstorms mixed in as well. But the main thing is the rain. That is very torrential. When you see those purple colours turning up, that is big rainfall indeed. And remember, the GFS doesn't look anything like this. It just has showers dripping through East Anglia and South East England, then clearing away into the North Sea by this point. The total precipitation forecast from the Euro 4 model up to 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow is anything from around 40 to 70 millimetres. So somewhere around 2 to 3 inches of rain is being forecast to fall across parts of the Midlands and Eastern England by the Euro 4 model tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. But it is very much at odds with what the GFS is doing. There are other high resolution models as well. I won't go through them all right now, but there are other high res models. I had a look at those, and generally they're all differing around the placement of these heavy downpours, possibly thunderstorms and torrential rain. So it's probably going to be a nowcast situation, actually. Obviously, there is the potential for some big rainfall tomorrow, but equally there's a potential for a complete non-event. Of course, yesterday we was expecting thunderstorms. They didn't really come to anything at all. That was a bit of a non-event. Potential for that again on tomorrow, on Saturday, but there is also the potential for big rainfall, and it will probably be a case of nowcasting through the course of tomorrow. So we'll have another look at this when we do the final update for Bank Holiday weekend later on today. But just want to start off that heads up about the confusion that we've got in just 24 hours time. So that said, let's now get on with the month ahead look ahead with the JMA and CFS V2 models. Remember, this is broad trend forecasting, whereas that for tomorrow is like exact detail forecasting. They're two different kinds of forecasting, if you like. You couldn't use these long-range charts, which are looking just at the broad picture, and pin down the exact detail for one day's weather in, say, 3 weeks' time. So, just starting with the JMA 500-bar height anomalies, first of all, these break down into week periods. The first week period will take us from the week that we're currently in, the 26th of August through the 2nd of September. Yellow with these charts extrapolates high pressure, and blue extrapolates to low pressure. So, for the coming week, we find quite a lot of ridging down to the south and the east of the country. Fair amount of high pressure up there. There's a low pressure in the Atlantic, and also quite a deep area of low pressure to the north of Scandinavia. It's a fairly messy picture, but what it means is that the jet stream is going something like that. And this is a bit transitional, really. This ridge is gradually, with time, being broken down by the trough in the Atlantic. So essentially what's going on is that this ridge is quite influential to start off with, but it is slowly being broken by low pressure coming in from the Atlantic. So the trend next week probably going to be to turn things increasingly unsettled, especially through the second half of next week. We go through to week 2, which is the 2nd through to the 9th of September, and this one looks definitively unsettled. We've got low pressure around the UK. It goes out into the Atlantic, or I should say below average heights, but it's extrapolating to low pressure. So it looks unsettled. The jet stream's coming through the country. That would be quite a wet, quite a disturbed start to September, I would have thought. However, there's changes again as we go through to weeks 3 and 4. This is the 9th through 23rd of September, and it's all changed again. We build an area of above average heights right over the top of the country, so that implies that we quite quickly break out of that unsettled weather that we have at the start of September, and we go into something much more settled and high pressure dominated. That looks quite pleasant, really. I think the jet stream is probably doing something a bit like that. So we're probably on the mild side of the jet. We're underneath a ridge. It could be quite chilly at night, of course, because it's September. The nights are rapidly getting longer, so you would probably expect some fairly cool nights, probably quite a bit of mist to start, but by day it could be pleasantly warm, and it doesn't look too bad at all there through the middle phase of September from the JMA. Let's have a look at the temperature precipitation anomalies that go with these 500 millibar heights. So that's the Northern Hemisphere view, looking from the pole down. This is the mid-latitude and tropical view. So the Northern Hemisphere is just here, the Southern Hemisphere is down here. The tropics are in the middle, and then the poles are off the chart. That's the North Pole up there, which is looking at the North Pole, of course, and this is the South Pole down here. You can't see both ends. But British Isles is in the very, very far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So just a quick reminder of the 500 millibar height anomaly for the coming week. It shows a ridge down to the south and low pressure out to the west, and the jet stream is gradually coming back and breaking down the ridge, essentially. The temperature anomaly then for the coming week, a reminder, this is from the 26th of August through 2nd of September, generally comes out above average, a warmer than average week coming up, and the precipitation anomaly, it looks wettest in the north, but all places are actually going a little bit wetter than average there. Driest in the south, but over time, remember, the idea is that the ridge is gradually being broken. We go through to week 2, which is the 2nd through to 9th of September, and this does look more unsettled this week. Low pressure coming right through the country with the jet stream coming through like that. So you'd expect a fairly cool week, and temperature anomalies are coming out cooler than average in the north, but still a little bit warmer than average down in the south. The precipitation, you expect it to be wet, and that's what it's going for. Above average rainfall during that early part of September. Weeks 3 and weeks 4 show the ridge coming back, get high pressure building back over the top of the country. Very often get a prolonged spell of dry weather at some point through September. That's what the JMA is seeing there from the 9th through to the 23rd of the month. Temperature anomalies are basically warmer than average, not by a great deal, but they're on the milder side of average. You could be getting coolish nights offsetting perhaps warm days. So it's not a big anomaly, not in those yellow and orange colours there, just a little bit warmer than average. And the precipitation anomaly, that turns significantly drier. It's going below average there. You'd expect that, of course, because you've got a ridge of high pressure building over the top of the country. So that looks a really nice spell of early autumnal weather there as we're going through into the middle phase of September. Let's see what the CFS V2 wants to do for the next month, if that's in agreement. So we're going to start off again with 500 millibar high anomalies, break down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 26th of August through to 1st of September. Same idea, red is extrapolated to high pressure, green and blue to low pressure. So through the coming week, we've got a ridge again centred over and to the east of the UK, ridge in the Atlantic, and the idea is the same idea as we have from the JMA, is that over time this trough in the Atlantic is gradually breaking down the ridge, so it's turning more and more unsettled as we go through into the early part of September. Week 2, the 25th, that can't be right, can it? No, that is the 2nd of September through to the 8th of September. And that shows, again, quite a deep trough in the Atlantic and a ridge out to the east of the country. The jet stream is coming through more. I don't think it's quite as unsettled as the JMA for this early part of September, this first week of September, but nevertheless, it is more unsettled. That trough of the Atlantic is more influential with the jet stream. Could still be quite warm, of course, because the ridge isn't all that far away. It's over Scandinavia, and the alignment between the trough and the ridge is probably still bringing the air up from the south, or at very least the southwest. So it's probably going to be quite warm there, but more unsettled. Week 3, which is the 9th through to the 15th of September, shows that we've got the ridge still there over Scandinavia. So a lot of high pressure coming up Scandinavia, if that's right. Trough of low pressure out to the northwest of the country. And again, the jet stream is coming through the country. What I'm getting from that is probably quite wet, but quite warm conditions. Remember, at this point, the JMA is building the ridge back over the country as we run out to the middle part of September. The CFS doesn't really indicate that. It's more unsettled, but I would have thought it's still quite warm with the air from the south or the southwest. And then finally, weeks 4 looks a little bit different. The ridge is gradually collapsing from Scandinavia in towards eastern and southeastern Europe. The trough of low pressure is more or less over Scotland, and then there's a ridge to the south of Greenland. So this is probably placing us on the cooler side of the jet now, and still quite unsettled there. I would have thought the jet stream is doing something a bit like that. So I think we're back onto the cooler side of the jet there from the 16th through 22nd of September, and it's still looks relatively unsettled also. So the CFS isn't seeing that build of pressure through the middle part of September that the JMA is indicating. So I think we've got quite a warm spell coming up, certainly to the middle part of September with the CFS V2. Let's have a look at temperature anomalies. The coming week, from the 26th through to 3rd of September, comes out significantly warmer than average. That makes sense with the alignment of the trough of the ridge. As does week 2, which is the 2nd through to the 8th of September. That also looks significantly warmer than average. Week 3, the 9th through to 15th of September, is warmer than average again. So quite a warm spell coming up here, albeit fairly unsettled. And then we go through to week 4, which I thought could be a bit cooler actually, but that is still coming out generally quite warm from the 16th through 22nd of September. So a warmer than average September on the way, if this is right, but probably quite wet. So the precipitation only for the coming week looks a bit wetter than average in the south, probably down to thundery rain of thunderstorms. The north looks drier than average. We go to week 2, which is the 2nd to the 8th of September, and that one is looking a bit wetter than average in the north, still just about a bit drier than average in the south, but it's clearly turning wetter through that early part of September. It's clearly turning more, excuse me, clearly turning more unsettled. Week 3, which is the 9th to the 15th of September, looks wetter than average, especially in the north and west, average rainfall elsewhere. And then week 4, it's average rainfall again, although it does hint at being wetter than average to the south, interestingly, from the Bay of Biscay. It looks wetter than average there. I think the general idea from the CFS is that we're going to have fairly warm temperatures for the next month, but it's going to turn quite unsettled, and I would have thought warm and wet really is the signal for September with the CFS V2, whereas the JMA perhaps isn't quite as warm overall, but I think it is a lot more settled, especially through the middle part of September where it's going for that build of pressure. So a bit of a discrepancy, and you always get this at this time of the year because our weather is very much impacted by what's going on in the tropics in terms of hurricane activity. The track that these hurricanes take, or tropical storms, or hurricanes, if they go on to develop from tropical storms to hurricanes, the track that they take is always uncertain. Sometimes they'll track into the America via the Caribbean, sometimes they'll go up towards Greenland and stall, which promotes high pressure through the country, and sometimes they'll actually come crashing through the Atlantic into Europe and give us a lot of rain. So it's always a very tricky time of year to forecast, and these models always struggle at this time of year, so you would expect a lot of uncertainty. But that's how things are looking today. Generally quite a warmish signal for September. Maybe unsettled if we believe the CFS, but the JMA does look a lot drier. Weekend forecast coming up tomorrow, so come back to that, and as I say later on today we'll have a look at the bank holiday weekend and see if we can try to unravel all of that uncertainty in relation to tomorrow's rain. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.